It looks like 2024 is gonna be fun, and it's gonna be fun fast, because as of just the second day of the year, January 2nd, we might have a Trump trial. That is when the special counsel, Jack Smith, if that is his real name, is pushing for the trial of Donald Trump to begin. And not only will the trial be starting early if he gets his way, but it's not gonna take that long. He's targeting it to last just 4 to 6 weeks, meaning that we could be wrapped up with this entire thing before Super Tuesday, long before the Republican National Convention, let alone the general election. So that's exciting. I'm excited, I imagine you're excited. This one guy is not super excited. He bleated, deranged Jack Smith has just asked for a trial in the Biden indictment to take place on January 2nd. The way the law works is if I say it's Biden's, he might go to jail. Just ahead of the important Iowa caucuses. Only an out of touch lunatic would ask for such a date 1 day into the new year and maximum election interference with Iowa. Such a trial, which should never take place due to my First Amendment rights and massive Biden corruption, should only happen, if at all, after the election. The same with the other fake Biden indictments, election interference. So, it's not up to Jack Smith, of course, to solely determine when the trial begins. This has apparently been sent to the judge, Judge Chaikin, so she will be the one who decides. Of course, Trump and his legal team, or what passes for a legal team, they'll have their opportunity to push for a date, which I'm estimating will be somewhere in the 2070s or so. And she will then have to decide based on those requests and of course the special circumstances that we're in. And while we're gonna be talking about the protective order hearing a little bit later on in the show, there were comments during that hearing from the judge where she indicated that the people deserve to have a quick resolution to this, considering how big of a circus it already is and is likely to become. So we don't know exactly when she will decide the trial should begin, but there is some reason to believe that she might be amenable to the special counsel's requests.
Yes, so we have this amazing situation that right around Super Tuesday, Donald Trump is either going to be headed towards the White House or headed towards the Big House. And will he be arrested before the campaign is over? And is he going to complete the campaign from a prison cell? Well, that's not very likely. And the reason for that is because he's going to appeal, of course, if he loses. And those appeals will last to the point where he becomes president. Even if he's been convicted and the case is being appealed and he becomes president, since it is a federal case, he can immediately pardon himself and never go to jail or prison. So that's just the reality of what physically happens to Donald Trump. Now, on to the more important issue of the timing. Let me dispense of one of his arguments, because he loves to throw stuff up against the wall and see what lands, because he doesn't know, like, I don't know, I'm gonna make up 1,000 crazy things. This one, let's figure out which one MAGA believes, and then we'll run with that one, right? So among those great excuses, my favorite was 1 day after the new year begins. Why is that relevant? I mean,
people still hungover.
His Christmas tree's still up, Cenk. Gosh, wait till he takes the Christmas tree down in the stockings. Melania is very excited, by the way, about decorating Mar-a-Lago, and then we can start the trial.
So good point, Franny. That's why I was so upset with January 6th, because it was just 5 days after the beginning of the new year. No, that really wasn't the issue, Donald. Okay, on the other hand, look, I wish the timing wasn't like this. I think the timing sucks. So if you're a partisan and you're on the Democratic side, or you just don't like Trump, maybe you think the timing is great politically because it happens right as everybody's voting in the primaries and he's on trial and he's going to have to attend his trial, presumably, maybe, or be on the campaign trail. And this is terrible news theoretically, although the trial is actually helping him in the Republican primaries, at least for now, but it might not when they start seeing the evidence. So do I wish that Merrick Garland had acted non-glacially and appointed a special counsel like 2 years before he did? Yes. I don't know why he waited so long, and I think it was a terrible, terrible decision to wait this long. This trial should have happened a long time ago. That being said, at this point, what are you gonna do? You're gonna delay the trial for 1.5 years so that Trump could have his campaign and his election, and then But Jack Smith kind of hinted at this in what he put out today, and I think that's right. The people deserve to know before the election.
Yep.
And by the way, in either direction. Imagine that they go, because remember, this innocent until proven guilty. Now, a lot of the evidence is already public and overwhelming. But imagine they go in, and by the way, it's I think more overwhelming in the documents case, which is going to be past Super Tuesday. This is the case about the coup attempt on January 6th. So the documents case is more overwhelming. This one, it's not impossible for Trump to win. I mean, first of all, he could have a couple of MAGA guys on the jury. Then, boom, he's gonna win. They're just gonna call it a hung jury, and they're gonna, if it's in the 37% of the Republican base that's MAGA, in polling they say they will never disagree with Trump. So you just need one MAGA guy, and you're not gonna get a conviction, right? But let's say he wins fair and square. That's super relevant to the election, isn't it? That takes the albatross off his neck. So either way, people should know before the election, and that is a normal time to have a trial. And he's like, oh, how could we possibly get ready by January 2nd? It makes it sound like we're in December. We're in August. You have a lot of time, Franny.
Don't you think the people should know if you are a criminal or not? Don't you want to prove your innocence before the election? If he were innocent, that's exactly what he would want to do. But he knows he's not, and that's why he's deflecting with all of this. Also, remember how he bragged? He constantly brags about every indictment. He's got his polling goes up when it's really just thanks to DeSantis being such an utter failure. But it's dude, it'll help you. It'll be good for your ratings, your clout. And here's what I have to say about ratings. I do think it sucks that this will not be televised. It doesn't seem like the trial will be televised. We're just gonna get those awful courtroom sketches. So I kind of feel for Hollywood executives right now, because the strike is probably gonna last until the new year, sadly, but I think it is. It's an existential situation here. They're not moving an inch. They want nothing more than a televised trial to distract everybody from the fact that they will not pay writers and actors. But no, we're just gonna have, again, you're gonna have to do one of those flip books for the courtroom trial where you just sort of watch him, move. You guys remember Flip? Anyone old here?
I do. That's older technology, not common these days. But yeah, it would be great if it was televised. He's indicated that he wants it to be. I don't think that he actually would want it to be. And the Dems say that they want it to be. I don't know about Jack Smith specifically, but some Democrats in Congress do want it. But anyway, yeah. Look, on the timing, I will say, I think both of you have pointed out that we cannot get to the general election without people knowing, but also I don't care as much, but Republican voters deserve to know. And if they're gonna know, shouldn't they know before Super Tuesday? I mean, when things are largely locked up at that point. If you were DeSantis or any of the other gaggle of weirdos that they have running, you would be so happy to hear that at least there's a chance we would know by Super Tuesday. And the Republican Party should think about if they waited and it turns out that he gets convicted, and it turns out that we actually for some reason live in a country where that matters to the base and no one's gonna support him. Well then, if it's a month until the election, then that is really unfair to the Republican Party, who should be able to choose a different candidate. So we cannot be past the RNC at that point. They need to have at least an opportunity to replace them with, look, I'm gonna say Jeb Bush. Honestly, I think that Jeb deserves another chance. He went away for a long time. But anyway, joking aside, it really does make the most sense. In the terrible situation we're in, this is the best possible outcome.
Yeah, and so let's go back to the judge for a second, because she's actually presided over a bunch of the January 6th cases, and her proclivity is to move fast. So that is good news if you want this trial both to happen and to be concluded as quickly as possible. Imagine, by the way, that it's concluded before Super Tuesday and Donald Trump is acquitted. My God, and by the way, that's a real, as I explained earlier, that's a real possibility, in which case it's going to be manna from heaven for Donald Trump.
Yes.
Yep.
So keep it real on that front, and he can get acquitted rightly or wrongly. And acquitted doesn't mean that you didn't do it. It means it's just they didn't have evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. All you need is about 2% doubt to get acquitted. So, but if that happens, Trump is going to throw a Mardi Gras a little bit late, right? And they're gonna have floats, and the Republicans are gonna go nuts, etc. So look, I would want, if it was Biden that was in a similar situation. For example, Biden is like, they'll never move fast enough. But if they were to say to me, you can resolve the Hunter Biden, Joe Biden connection by Super Tuesday, right? And said, that way we'll know for sure if Joe Biden was connected to Hunter Biden's cheesy maneuverings or he's not connected. I would say, I would like to know before.
Yep.
Okay, because number one, if he's not connected, I want him cleared. If he is connected and you actually prove it in a court of law and a jury convicts him, I don't want him as a Democratic candidate. No way, not even close. I don't want him as president. I don't want him as anything. But I'm not MAGA, so I haven't lost my mind. So I can actually make independent judgment calls on candidates, as opposed to MAGA, who's like, Trump must be right about everything. We must protect Trump. Truth doesn't matter at all. Goddamn evidence. Now, you know I'm MAGA, I know your feelings are hurt, but hold on, I'm gonna prove it. I don't know why you're not excited about this. I've said this on a number of occasions. MAGA should be thrilled. Everybody bring their mules. You get to prove that the last election was stolen while we're in the middle of this election. It's perfect for you, because this case falls apart the second you show that the election was actually stolen by Joe Biden, because he's being charged about lying about a stolen election. If the election was in fact stolen, then he's by definition not lying. You win the case immediately. And I know you have the 2,000 mules, and I know you have a Kraken, and I know you've got all sorts of dumps lying around, and you've got all of these things that you guys have promised. By the way, MAGA, why aren't you livid at Trump? In all of his wild, crazy defenses, he's never once suggested that his defense is going to be, the election was stolen, I'm gonna prove it in court, and I'm gonna win this case. I mean, look, kidding aside, guys, if you're not in the MAGA cult, you know that what I'm saying is super obvious. And you know that Trump doesn't have one piece of evidence because he already lost 60 cases on the so-called stolen election, right? But MAGA doesn't know. They like the overwhelming majority of MAGA genuinely believes that Trump won that election. So to those MAGA guys, I'm being earnest with you guys. Wouldn't you want the opportunity to prove it in court? Wouldn't this be perfect for you? And why aren't you mad at Trump that he's not making that case that you want him to make, that you wanted him to make for 3 years? And isn't it weird that he's not making that case? After all the blah, 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 when he's on air, he goes on media, oh yeah, the election was stolen, it was stolen, I didn't lose, I'm not a smart little bitch, no, I didn't lose. Okay, perfect, Jack Smith delivered this present to you with a bow on top. You get to go in court and give your evidence. Everybody bring the goddamn mules, right? Ride in on your 2,000 mules, right? And prove it. And MAGA, now you're beginning to understand, you don't have any evidence. That's why you're not looking forward to this. Trump's not looking forward to this, because you're gonna go to court and he's gonna get humiliated because the election was not stolen, and he's an incredible liar. And unfortunately, and I actually do feel bad for you. I'm not playing, and it's not gonna make you any happier, but it sucks that you got conned by a legendary con man. Franny.
They don't care. I mean, like, I love the overture, Cenk, but we all know they don't care, because you might be in a cult if you don't care about evidence, you just care about your feelings, and you feel like it was stolen. You feel like dead and simultaneously dead and undocumented people voted. That's all that matters. It's a cult, and like, you cannot reason with the cult, even if they were to somehow prove evidence. You think Fox is gonna like cover? I mean, they would, I guess they'd have to, but Fox won't cover it. They won't find out about it, and the cult rolls on.
Yeah. By the way, if you were to get 2,000 mules together, do you have any idea how big the dumps would be?
It'd be massive, just like Trump said. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.